Hello there, welcome to my live stream, Palmistry Q&A, and today I am going to start the topic off with timing of the lines. We have a couple of other things to discuss. Thank you for all of those who have followed me and subscribed. Hi Jeannie, welcome. Thank you Jude Tibble for following, and Rose Crookson, Carol Bensler, Jenny Schramm, Marcus Doss, Stephen Masona, Edwin V. Singh, and last week Kimberly Wright, Carolyn Nelson, Naveen Chaudhry. Thank you very much. Hemant C for subscribing. Very happy to have you following. I hope you are all able to join my live streams while they are public. They are all, most of them, nearly all of them, turn into members only videos. So if you're here watching today and if you would like to join my channel, you will get to see the replay. Welcome Erica, thank you for the questions in my community section in the posts. Yes, that's where I do accept requests from my members for particular readings, particular videos, especially for live stream, because I tend to just babble on. Otherwise I will just find a subject and just talk about it. It's nice to have questions already good to go. So today we have, I think, a few questions ready to go. I just quickly jotted those questions down. So I love these discussions where I bring the realism, the logic, the realism, the practical into what is generally regarded as just made up magic. No, it's not magic, but you know what, people don't really look at the palmistry as something that's practical and logical, and I like to bring that to as many of my videos as I can, and just thinking about everything in a logical way, not in any sort of mystical way. I do have some mystical views, of course, because I am kind of a mystical person, but I prefer to teach in a practical way. So I've headlined this subject as timing and timing scales. So we'll start with my first question that Erica had given me, and that was timing the short and long headline. Now I understand most of the things that happen to people, if they are visible on these lines, they will be visible on the lifeline and they will be visible on the fate line. So from a practical, logical, sensible, reasonable timing method, we always look at what's happening on the fate line and what's happening on the lifeline. On occasion, such as marks and things happening on the other lines, we want to know the timing. For instance, what if there's an island on the headline? So we would then want to know, how do we time this? And first thing we do is we look at the lifeline for any clues. Is there some sort of marks on the lifeline that we can confirm the timing with? Is there some sort of a mark on the fate line that we can confirm the timing with? And based on that, we look at the situation and we can say a more accurate timing for the headline. And so the headline itself doesn't have an exact timing. In my last book, also in my first one, I did mention that approximately 20 is at the start, and then it goes 40, 60, 80. But I do mention that not everyone has a long headline that you can do timing all the way up to 80 like we do on the Lifeline. So it's absolutely pointless to do that. What I look at is the end of the headline. So if something's towards the end of the headline, that's in the later years. If it's around the middle of the headline, it's in the middle of the years. So between 30 and 50. If it's at the start of the headline, it's early life, between 1 and say anywhere up to 20, 25. So they will be the same no matter what length the headline is. So if the headline is really long, you're looking at early 20s, you're looking at 30 to 40s, and you're looking at 40 to 60s and onward. Just because there may be a continuation of a line, that for that reason you could say the later years, but it doesn't doesn't always work that way. And so if it's a short line, the sizes change. So this is the start of the line, early 20s, here's 30 to 40s, here's 40 to 60s, and here's the later years. So it just shortens. The shorter the line, the shorter the spaces. Now that's the common sense way of looking at, but the real proper way to look at the timing on a headline, like I said before, you must look at the lines on the Lifeline or the Fate line and use that timing, because that is much more accurate, because that's the vertical lines. The horizontal lines can have so many variations in them, especially if you have, for instance, a Simian line. Welcome, Nanab. I do read people's hands on these videos, but that is for members of my channel. If you would like to join my channel and request a reading, you would have to send it to me via my email or via the community section in the my my channel, in the community tab, or the posts tab, I think they call it now. So that's a members only perk that members can do that. Level 3 up, I believe. I think I've got about four levels or so. Yes, so back to this headline, Erica. You said that she has a sharp turn. So you say that it travels along and then does a sharp turn. I'll explain that as well, because that's a kind of a very unique kind of a sign. So that often represents that a person's mental outlook takes a turn and changes. So the mental outlook might be heading along a certain direction in their life, certain trajectory, how they think, and if it takes a sudden turn, then it could be at a certain point they have an epiphany or something that they go turn around their thinking altogether. So In this case, if it goes down, then the thinking may become more creative or more nurturing or more emotional, more instinctive, maybe more intuitive, maybe tapping into their intuition more, or maybe just literally becoming more sensitive in the feelings, in the way that they think. So there's many meanings to that sudden dip, but I do talk about that in one of my books as well. Sharp turn, but then it goes for a very short time. Okay, so it's just a little, so like just a sharp turn like that. Either way, whether it's a short length, doesn't reach the moon. Okay, so if it's a short length, that it still means the same, but if it doesn't reach the moon and it's just still representing that change of mental outlook to something different to what's been usual. So the mental outlook is not traveling along the same line, kind of thing. At the fate line, just around the fate line. Okay, so the headline goes to the fate line and then does a sudden dip. Something like that, probably. So yeah, that's, I have an example of that in one of my videos that I made. Actually, I had conversations with the owner of the hand, so that was pretty accurate, my reading on what I mentioned. Yep. So it's still a similar meaning, it's just shorter. The short headline gives a different meaning to the long headline. So the short headline, the person is more to the point. They see the bigger picture and they go from A to Z, and they like to think quick and get things done quick. They're impatient. They don't have the time for details. They don't have the time to think about long drawn out stories about what's going on. It's like, all right, let's get to the point. Let's get to the point. So that difference between someone with a long headline and a short headline. Welcome, Dr. Gaurav Singh. Long time no here. Good morning. What is the timing of wealth? Timing of wealth is not really possible to see wealth on the hand. I know everyone talks about possible wealth, but everyone has the possible wealth, because most of the wealth signs are simply the rising lines to the fingers. So any of these lines can represent wealth, but anyone can have these lines. So it's not really an actual sign. I was just talking about practical and logical palmistry, and so logically you cannot see someone's wealth. The rich man has the same kind of hands as the poor man. Mostly it comes down to the whole hand, so not one single sign. So the rich man might have a certain shape hand, certain type of skin, certain type of fingerprints, certain type of consistency, certain types shaped fingers, certain shaped thumb. So all of these, including the lines, then put together the big picture. I've got an article on my website and I've got videos about it, and I've talked about it in my book. It's called The Millionaire's Hand or The Billionaire's Hand. I have them both, and so that covers all the areas what to look for wealth, based on the analysis that I've done on millionaires and billionaires. What do we got? Oh, Erica says it makes sense that the person is like that. Dr. Gaurav says if the space between the base of the fingers and the heart line is large, does it indicate big wealth? Between the heart line, not really. It just means that the heart line sits lower. So you're talking about this space here. So if the heart line is lower, then that area is bigger. That is on its own, no, it's not an indicator of wealth. These big mounts, if these mounts are large, it's an indicator of zest for life, somebody who loves life. They could be social and creative. They love food. They love everything about life. It shows somebody a lover of life, and usually they will also have a nice mount of Moon and a nice mount of Venus as well. So somebody who loves life and lives life to the fullest is a wealthy person, in a sense that they are probably quite content and very satisfied with their life. So in that sense, it can represent wealth, but wealth is really spiritual in a way, because you can have a lot of money and still be miserable. So if you don't love your life, all the money in the world is not going to fix your life. You'll be more comfortable, but instead of being miserable on the street, you can be miserable in your limousine or in your fancy house. But yeah. I was going to do some more timing on the other lines before I go to the other questions. Erica, you had some other questions. I'll go to those other questions after I finish the timing on the line. So I will do a quick timing on the lifeline and the fate line. And the heart line is the same as what I talked about, the headline. The heart line timing, we look at the beginning, we look at the middle, and we look at the end. So we don't have a specific lining it up, because so many people don't have the same length line. So many people have a straight line or short line, a broken line or missing line. So we look at it the same. If there's a glitch on the heart line, we look at the timing on the lifeline and the fate line for confirmation. Let me try and do some lines here. So fate line and lifeline. What's Jeannie saying? Hi Sari, what about when you have multiple parallel Saturn lines, but there is a gap between the two, even though they run side by side? Multiple Saturn lines. Yeah, so multiple things that give sense of security, multiple jobs, missing something. Yeah, it is multiple possible goals in life. So the fate line is not just about jobs. It's not just about career, jobs, work, money. It's about your life goals. So if you have multiple lines, which many entrepreneurs have multiple lines, because the entrepreneur means that they are into a bit of everything. So if you have multiple fate lines, The one that runs along really close is likely to be a study or a partner, such as a husband or a business partner or a wife who's financially supporting through a period. But if it's a little bit away, these fate lines can represent doing and having more than one goal. So it can be anything from your goal of gardening in the garden to your goal of making money selling envelopes online to whatever other dreams you might have. So even income sources, they can be owning multiple houses. I have a friend who owned several houses, sold some of them now, but those houses were rentals, so they were bringing in multiple incomes. So some of these fate lines on his palm were representing those other incomes that were coming from other sources. So there can be so many various things. There is, that's what I'm missing is definitely life goals. Thank you for jolting your memory. Oh, that's okay. Life goals, other investments. It can be investments, all sorts of things. So, all right, back to this timing quickly. We are on a rough note. We look at similar the way we look at the head and the heart line. We look at halfway on the lifeline. Halfway is approximately 40. If per se the person, lives to 100 or more, which is very possible, that halfway could represent 50. But as tradition, we only go to 40 for halfway, and it's fairly accurate regardless of the person living to 100, because the timing kind of diminishes right at the end anyway. So we can then put it into quarters. So we have 20, 40, 60, 80. And then again and again and again, and then just keep halving it. And we can roughly figure out timing. So most things that are happening in this area would be between the ages of 35 and 55, and so on and so forth. The timing on the fate line relies on the heart line and the headline, because around the middle of the palm, it's the 20s, between 20 and 25, but it quickly changes. The fate line quickly changes and gets sort of tighter and tighter. So by the time it reaches the heart line, it's 50. By the time it reaches the headline, it's 35, even though it might be 25 down here. It would be like, we don't really time the very beginning stages of it, but we would probably go only as low as there, which might be like 15, but it quickly gets tighter from 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, so forth. So that's very approximate. And when someone has a different headline or heart line, if the heart line sits lower, sometimes we adjust it. If there is no heart line and there's a simian line, we definitely adjust it down. And so when it crosses the simian line, it would be around 40. So always the timing is quite estimate. It's only approximate. Sorry, now I can't find words. So, and it's important that we use those lines to see the timing on the other lines. I was really, really disappointed. I had someone give my book a review online, and one of the reasons they only gave me low stars was because they said I didn't have the timing on all the lines. And that was a bit frustrating that they've judged my book because of that. But the reason we don't have timing on all the lines, because it doesn't make sense to time all the lines. It's not how it works. But yeah, I can't even reply to the person and explain it to them, the reason why we don't do timing on all the lines. And I just have to put up with a bad review from someone and not be able to respond. So never mind. Maybe they finally went back and learnt about it later on. So anyway, that is my section on the timing, and I will change the subject to what other thing that Erica had mentioned. Hang on a second. The other thing Erica was mentioning, which is really strange, I understand, if somebody loses a fingernail or a fingertip, and then you can't read that fingertip, for instance. We look at the shape of the fingertips, we look for lines on the fingertips, we look at the fingernails for their color and everything like that. But what if they've lost their whole hand? What if they have no arms? So the explanation to if the fingertip or fingernail is missing, we have to disregard it. And that means that we cannot judge that area, and we don't need to judge that area. So for instance, if it is the fingertip of the index finger, which would be representing potentially your own sort of self-esteem, your confidence, whether you are religious or whether you are optimistic or leader, and all that information maybe doesn't matter. We can disregard it. It's not available, and that means it doesn't matter. So somebody who doesn't have a hand, we can't look at their lifeline, so we have to disregard it, and it doesn't matter. So obviously people still live their life if they don't have these visible things that we can look at for reference. The person who, let's go to the extreme, the person who doesn't have their hands, whereas our mind is really focused on our hands for what we do all the time. So that person wouldn't be able to. It's only gone as far as the joints. They can probably still move their joints. So it's just no visible evidence of what goes on in the mind, which means we disregard it, which means we don't worry about it. And so it goes for the same for the missing things. So as far as the meaning, does it have a meaning like potentially in a karmic sense? Possibly. I've known a person who had an accident, and he lost one of his part of one of his fingers, and the other finger went all crooked. And so that person asked me if that had anything to do with palmistry, all the scars and the broken middle finger and everything. And the only thing I said to him was, well, it can be like a karmic lesson on anything to do with the law, legal things. because it was to do with, it was mainly the middle finger. And he admitted to me that he had been to jail for something unlawful that he done. It was an accident, but he was drunk at the time. So because of his drunken behavior, he crashed his car into someone else, and he ended up going to jail for it. It was pretty bad because the other person in the other car had passed away because of his actions. So it, in that sense, it was like a karmic sign that, you know, he might have broken the law, but that doesn't work in every case. Jeannie says, my grandpa had a missing ring finger tip. The finger of the sun rules the heart. In astrology, maybe coincidence, but he had to love a large part of his life, or live a large part of his life with a pacemaker. Yeah, so you could kind of look at it in that sense, but most of the time it literally is just a coincidence. But if you are going to look at all these damaged or missing or malformed, you know, crooked, bent fingers. I talk about all the crooked, bent fingers and all of that. But if it's been like through an accident or something like that, you can literally go to the area of the hand. What does that area of the hand represent? And how could this have affected that person? So, like Jeannie says, in astrology, you could look at the sun rules the heart. So you could go to, you know, if there's like problem with the Saturn, what rules Saturn, Jeannie? I don't know. I'm not an astrologer, but that would be interesting for all those different sections in and combining it with the astrology. But how I've usually looked at it is just what it means in palmistry. Like the Saturn is about responsibility, self-control, and, you know, the law, the rational thought, things like that. Jeannie says, here's something interesting. Just experienced, someone spoke to me about what if it could mean to have a rash in the index finger. It was a dominant omen. I said maybe there's opportunity for her to leave. Yeah, I do look at rashes a fair bit, especially if the rash is around relationships. Is it around the mother, the father, the siblings? Is it regarding your, you know, love life? So areas of the hand can kind of point to, you know, if there's a rash there, it can affect in a way a certain areas. So because I talk about like warts, you get warts on certain parts, and depending on where this wart is, that can represent where the main stress is. Where is this issue coming from? Erica says, I'm permanently missing my nails on my right hand thumb due to psoriasis. What would be the omen or karma of the thumb? I lost it after severe stress when I returned to part-time work, which I had to do. Yeah. Okay, so definitely severe stress. You've answered your own question. That's exactly what it is. Severe stress can cause all those kind of issues on the skin. Some people don't believe me, but I've witnessed it myself so many times. And when people talk about, oh, I've got this rash, it's a condition, I go to a doctor and the doctor gives me this cream and these pills, but they never tell you to go and see what's going on in your head, because what's going on in your head can do stuff to your body and it comes out of your body somewhere. Like I get a rash on my face, I know exactly what that's all about. I cover it with makeup. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. People get rashes on their hands or their bellies. Everyone gets it in different areas of the body, but it comes out. There's something not quite right. Maybe in the physical body, maybe in the mental and emotional side. So the thumb itself is to do with your ability to do what you say you're going to do. Your thumb is the logic and your willpower. So your logical side tells you, yes, this is how I'm going to do things, and your willpower is, I'm going to actually do it. So if you come up with great ideas but you don't do anything about it, you might have weak willpower. But if you're doing things against your willpower on what you really want to do, then that's going against the grain, and that can affect what happens on your thumb, because the tip of your thumb is your willpower area. And yeah, so the stress part is exactly what it would be. Where was I? Okay, what's Jeannie say? Lead in something, and perhaps she has some blockage, anxiety. Yeah. Oh, that was the index finger. Yep. Okay, so Saturn rules the middle finger. Yes, I know. In astrology, has everything to do with boundaries. Yes, so it does. I already know what Saturn rules in palmistry and in astrology. I was looking for the ruling planet, because you said that the sun rules the heart or something. What did you say up there? You said something about the sun rules the heart. So I was wondering, what does the Saturn rule any sort of other area like that? Apart from what we already mentioned. Physical body. Unnecessary. No. Jeannie says rashes have a lot to do with Saturn. Saturn rules the skin. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. What part of the body? Okay, so it rules the skin. Mars is inflammation. So when I see a rash, where are you holding back, setting boundaries? Yep. So we all have the part of the body that, like for our horoscope as well, like what part of our body is for each star sign or whatever, that as well. You required from all your other psoriasis flare-ups, this one only permanent. It's permanent because of the situation of the fingernail. It's like hair. Some people go bald and it never grows back. So maybe you can put a fake nail on there, like people put on a wig. But yeah. So unfortunately, some parts of the body don't fully recover ever. It's not the way our bodies are made. If we were like crabs, that'd be awesome. They really need to study crabs more. You can rip a legs off the crab, and they grow new ones. So same as lizards. You can rip their tail off, then they grow another one. It's amazing. But not us humans. You can rip our limbs off and they won't grow back. Yeah, crazy. What else we got? Saturn rules Aquarius and Capricorn. Aquarius is the nervous system and the calves and the ankles. Saturn rules the skin and the bones, especially the teeth. Yes. Actually, I remember that, the teeth and the bones thing, because I had an issue with that as well. Yeah, I got bad teeth. Not as bad. I don't have any molars. They're gone, ripped out. I had bad teeth when I was young, but that's probably inherited too. But I inherited some bad Saturn from my father. The Saturn in palmistry does represent the father figure and the father as well. Jeannie says, I always think it's hilarious how Saturn rules the finger that we used to flip people off as a way to set boundaries, which is totally Saturnian. Yeah, it is too. Oh, it is too. Oh dear. I love how you guys say flip a bird or something. You guys say, we just say give them the finger. Like Aussies are a bit different, but we are taking on that term, give them the flip, thanks to not Beavis and Butthead. What's that other cartoon? Rick and Morty. Does anybody watch Rick and Morty? My daughter's mad about Rick and Morty. And we went to a supernova. It's like a Comic-Con here in Australia. I was Morty and my daughter was Rick. It was funny. I loved it so much. And so we were doing one of the skits from Rick and Morty comedy show where they meet aliens and they tell the aliens that this is the sign of peace in the world. And they were doing that to the aliens, and then the aliens thought it was just wonderful that they were saying peace to the world or something like that. I forgot the exact words, but peace in the world. So yeah, we were, a lot of the photos, when they took photos of us, we were giving them the flip in the photo. And it was just for fun. But here, a lot of Aussies, that is a term of like endearment, same as calling people names like CUNT. That's very a term of endearment. We take the piss out of all of that. We think it's in fun and in jest and nothing serious about it. I think if you know enough Australian people, you get to understand that we don't take things too seriously, and the ones that do take them seriously, they haven't lived their Aussie lifestyle enough. Yeah. Oh, and Jeannie says, I forgot Saturn rules the knees too. Highly Saturnian people always have clicking knees and constantly popping fingers. Oh, I don't know what this Saturn is doing to me, but it's wrecking my knees. My knees have been bad since I was about 40. So I think it may have been from running. I shouldn't have been running, and I've got to walk only half a K and then my knees hurting. I have to stop. Getting old sucks really bad. Not very nice. But yeah, Where were we? Saturn. Good old Saturn. Yeah, it can be good and bad. Hey, the Saturn, it's like, it's got its good side, but then it's got those boundaries, and like someone with a long middle finger is like the opposite of someone with a short middle finger. So that Saturn length on the finger gives different meaning to the personality too. Eric says, in astrology they say if Saturn makes your knees bad, he makes your finances good. Oh, I'll wait for it. I'll wait. A trade-off. Oh, that sounds so good. So is that 40? That's when I started my website. Hasn't made me money yet, but hey, I'm working on it. But yeah, who knows? Maybe I'll get bionic knees one day. I'll have the money and I'll get bionic knees, and then they won't snap while I'm trying to walk. Saturn is a slow planet. Aha. Interesting. Oh, one more thing. Erica, you were such an interesting post that you posted with those questions, and thank you again for giving us the subjects to talk about today. And the other thing you mentioned was travel lines on the side of the palm. Jeannie says, Saturn will reward anyone who works on their long-term goals in a way that brings good karma. Is about that 29-year cycle. All Saturn wants is for you to move with purpose and be considerate. That's me. That's me. Chugging along, long-term goals. I've been working on my long-term goals probably since that 40 age when I nearly broke my knees from running. Yeah. Anyway, so that one last thing Erica mentioned about travel lines on the side of the moon. Okay, so travel lines mainly show up on the lifeline, and it's energy leaving the life, whether it's physical, mental, or emotional. So you're leaving your usual place physically, doing lots of travel, or you are thinking about other things. Your mind wanders. It could be someone who, let's make an example of a married person who doesn't always focus on his husband or wife, and they, on an emotional level, leave to go and have affairs with other people. So their energy is leaving the usual area. Or it could be someone who's mentally focused on their career, but sometimes they leave to go escape the reality with drugs or something, So there's many ways of explaining. Travel lines are not just physical. It is mental and emotional. It is your energy leaving the usual spot. So when there are lots of travel lines on the side of the amount of moon where Erica mentioned, that can represent the same thing, because the moon and Pluto can be included as well. The moon represents all your emotions, your subconscious, your imagination, your instincts, your nurturing, your creativity, your sensitivity, but mainly your imagination. And you are, I suppose, if those travel lines don't represent physical travel, they represent your mental and I suppose emotional mental travel. So in your mind, you go to another place. In your mind, you go to another place often if there are many lines. Those lines can represent, in that scenario, Erica, that you talked about, that can represent all those people that he removed from this earth. He also went to another place. He goes to another place in his mind when he does these murders. So he's a murderer with all these travel lines. So in that sense, he's traveling in his mind to another place. And then he comes back to living his normal life. And then he travels again to his other life. So he has a second life of where he travels in his brain. And it's quite scary to see on a person who has, I suppose, two personalities. So, what else? Jeannie said, remember I said we have the same birth card. Oh yes, birth card sits Saturn, Neptune, so we are more susceptible to bone-related injuries and not just wearing out our bones more easily, but not in a way. That would notice right away because we have a ton of resilience and don't notice things till it's chronic. Oh yeah, yeah, that's, I notice, but I ignore, I choose to ignore. I have this, nah, it's fine, it's still good. So I definitely notice, I choose to ignore. It's shocking, I'm shocking. Anyway, our whole life spread in the Uranus row, so our mental state, keeping our nervous system calm, pivotal, and can help with our health issues. This is why it's important for us to, way to channel excess energy and anxiety. Yeah, I definitely have excess energy and not so much anxiety anymore. I've learnt how to deal with anxiety at a very young age, and thanks to my father. But excess energy, I used to be a aerobics instructor. So I used to be a fitness leader. So, after work, go to work in a gym and do these aerobics classes, and then come home and smoke cigarettes. Like that was the 80s. I had lots of energy, so much to do. And like I said, I used to run as well. And it was after I had my kids, and then the kids grown up, I still have the energy, but I don't have it's like it's internal. It's like, I don't want to go for a run. My knees are broken. I don't want to get an extra job. I don't have the mental capacity. It'll wear my brain out. But I still have that extra energy that I need to find. And I use my, mostly if I'm not just watching TV, I'll be playing my guitar, writing songs, like doing things a bit more quiet, painting, carving wood, like not so physical, but it's still using up energy that can build up. Like some people don't have excess energy, but yeah. Nice glass of wine calms me down, puts me to sleep. But that's yeah, that's all the subjects that we had for today. My notes that I wrote down here based on those questions, I think we've answered all of those for Erica, and that was good. And we'll what's the day? Oh, Christmas is coming hard and fast. Only a month to go. Wow. Okay, I'm not ready, but it's coming regardless. So 2nd of December, yep, I can do another live on next Tuesday. If anyone comes up with questions on what they would like, go ahead and you can ask the questions in the posts in my YouTube channel. Or if you're following me on Facebook, you can ask on Facebook as well. One last question, Erica. Have been listening to my videos. There are 3 I couldn't listen to. Are those just for the top tier? Yeah, it probably should say I've only got a few for the top tier at the moment. I think I know which ones you're talking about. They're quite old videos. They come from my old video lessons that I used to have, which I don't do those old video lessons anymore because YouTube now has the memberships. But previously YouTube didn't have memberships. Then I used to have to ask people, if they pay me X amount, then they can see these other videos, and then I would give them the link to the videos. So there is a couple there that are the top tier, I believe. I'll go and have a look at them and check again if they are worthy of the top tier, or should I bring them back down. I'll have another look at them. I can't remember which ones they were, but I would say that's the only reason. But I actually don't have many people on the top tier. I'll have a look at my memberships. I don't think I've got anyone on the top tier actually at the moment, so I'll go and have a look. Yep, not a problem. Do that. Otherwise I can go and check my membership videos and see which ones they are. 3 of them. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I know what you're talking about. It is from my old. They're from my old video lessons. So I was going to redo them because they're such poor quality. Really, I think they're poor quality because of the software that I was using at the time and my speakers and whatnot. And it was probably 7 years ago already, maybe. Oh, maybe not that long. They, yeah, I'll go and have a look, see what they are, and I'll adjust them. I'll adjust the level, I'll adjust the tier so that you can watch those ones as well. Cool. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming in with all your questions. Thank you also, Dr. Gaurav, for joining us today. And Nanab, also, haven't seen Nanab before. It's good to have some new people join every now and then. And I shall go and put this for the members only replay now, and we can talk again next Tuesday. Unless you have something, you can chat to me in the posts, and we'll take it from there. Cool. Thank you so much. Bye.